Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the wrap episode number 35. It's Thursday, March 16th, 2023. I'm Nathan Guerra, and Anna Russel is sat next to me virtually. I'm coming out of the Wisconsin of the United States. I still don't know exactly where in New Zealand Anna Russel lives, but she is somewhere off in New Zealand. We get into the episode number 35. If it's your first time ever listening, this is a podcast as well as a live show in which we are having a show that rounds up all things Zwift for the last week. We're talking racing, we're talking events, we're talking tech, we're talking fashion. We are live on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. If you want to download the podcast audio version, go ahead and search up the Wrap Zwift on any place that you can download a podcast. You should be able to find it real easily. Well, coming up on the wrap today, we have ZRL Playoffs. Well, finals actually are still on their way. We had week number 2 this past Tuesday. The Alp Challenge that we had with Vision was this past week, Saturday. We'll talk a little bit about that. Touroutopia is still going on. We have a little chat about also the Zwift Fondo series, which is happening on a monthly basis over the Zwift season. Scotland is live for free riding. Zwift Women's Racing Series. And Anna just posted something about a gravel bike she just got. That's super
so excited.
We have an awesome guest, Gordon Sloan, the director Sportif of Rhino Racing. It's really great to have him on. I know that he is an avid viewer as well as very involved in the community. They run a lot of community rides and races in the world of Zwift. So it's really great to have Gordon on. They have definitely been a highlight to me over the last year and a half to 2 years once they came up on the radar within the community racing and group ride scene. Also, we do have the fashion. As you saw at the beginning of the show, we do have fashion picks. Go ahead and let us know in chat what you think of them. Rate them 1 to 10. We'll talk all about them at the end of the show. Well, Anna, let's get on with episode number 35 and right on into it. What have we been up to for the last week?
I bought a new bike. That's probably the biggest, exciting news.
New bike day, NBD.
Oh my gosh.
Bike day.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I wonder because if I lower my green screen, I don't know if
she wants to show it to you guys. She literally wants to bring it in. Like, here's my shiny bike.
Yeah, I'm going to do it because I don't think no one will mind.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Here we go.
Just off to the side. I'll bring it into shot.
Let's see it. All right, here we go. New bike day. I mean, this is what we're all about, right? So, Liv, it looks like. Nice. Very nice. That looks actually super comfy. That looks really comfy. Oh my gosh. Well, there you go. Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz.
For our listeners, that was not the best for you, but it is a Liv Devote Advanced 1. It is brand new, and my husband has actually been having to build it, which is a bit unfortunate because the builder at the bike shop was sick, and I desperately want it for Saturday to go riding. So he's like, well, I'll give it a shot. So he was YouTubing how to connect SRAM, ETAP, electronic shifting last night. There's no bar tape on it yet. He got my dropper post installed though, so I've got a dropper post on there too, and it does look comfy. I've got to say, it looks good. I haven't ridden it yet, so hopefully tomorrow. But last week I had my first gravel experience. Straight after the podcast, I went out and I rode some gravel roads with a friend. I'd never done that before. I did it on an old mountain bike, and I dropped my chain about 25 times because there was a loose bolt, and so that was super frustrating.
Well, you're hammering it out. You're hammering it out. That's what those first rides are for. Yeah. That's what those are for.
Exactly. For sure. Yeah. And she wanted to ride again, thank God, because I thought she'd be like, who is this person? And then I messaged you, Nathan, and I was just, it's opened up a world for me. So, I mean, a couple of years ago, a friend and a training partner, it was kind of we'd gone for a run together. We're talking about our kids and our families and all that kind of good stuff. And then literally 3 days later, got hit by a truck and killed while he was out cycling. And my
goodness.
I just drew this line in the sand. I think it was just the fact we'd been talking about our kids and all of that. And I was like, it's just, I cannot ride on the road anymore. I'm drawing a line in the sand. I don't want to do it. The risk is way too high for me versus I love it, but that put it way too black and white for me. So I just haven't ridden on the road. So obviously I've embraced Zwift, but yeah, I went gravel riding. I was like, oh my gosh, I get the love of the road and being outside, but in an environment that feels safe. Obviously I can crash off and stuff, but in a controlled way, it feels safe. So yeah, whole new world coming down now. I'm Googling races coming up and there's gravel nationals at the end of the year. I'm pretty stoked.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Now, they say the spirit of gravel is mountain bike. That the spirit of gravel is actually mountain bike. Just so you know, that's the thing when it comes to the whole. So, and the reason why is all the mountain bikers are just whooping on everybody when it comes to gravel. So, you're halfway there. We'll have you soon enough, Anna. You're gonna be
okay. Well, my spirit of gravel is Zwifter turned graveler. So I guess I'm missing a whole chunk in the middle there of actually riding on the road. But there we go. I am very, very excited about this. So that's what I've been doing. I've just been geeking out on the fact I've got a new bike. So huge thanks to everyone who helped me out get that actually. And then also had, so I did see on the stream of the racing in the week, people were like, I thought Anna wasn't racing. And
everyone was like, what happened here? Yeah. You were going to race ZRL.
Yeah, and then what happened was we've had a time change. So it's really early in the morning for me at the moment. And that time change meant that the race was actually kind of middle of the day, because what had happened in the other race was I didn't even say bye to my team. I literally unclipped my pedals, left everything on, and sprinted from that Skur in the Summit race to school pickup, and I was still late. And I was like, I can't do that again. It's so stressful. I get there, I'm like a sweaty mess, and it's just like I was so tired. Whereas now it was like an hour earlier, so I had like a bit of time afterwards. I was like, it'll be the last time I race with my team. This will be a blast. Christy was back. And I don't know. I think it's a mix of no pressure, just being like, go have some fun. That I think it just kind of worked. It was a fun race. It was good times.
Yeah, well, that's just a fun race. Let's take a quick look at this.
The wrap last
just
week.
A
One
fun
of the questions
race
was, what
here.
is Zwiftcraft? Well, it's exactly that. This is what you call a wattage cottage. When you look at Emily
now look,
Ehrlich,
there's Emily
nothing
Ehrlich,
secret
right?
about
there's
what she's
Kolchinsky.
doing. Nor Kolchinsky
What is that? What is that, Anna? With Anna Russel is literally neck and neck with Kristen Kolchinsky and Emily Ehrlich. Like, and that was every lap. Like, this is just one shot, but you literally came over like third place every lap. You're like, I'm done. I'm falling off the cliff of my fitness. And next thing you know, I'm like, is that Anna? That's Anna. There's Anna again. Did Anna just take third place again? Anna just took third place again to top 10 in the world. Like, what? Where did this come from?
Okay. So I think that what's it called? Clyde Kicker. Damn, that is a fun sprint.
It's a good one. It's Zwiftcraft. It's a Zwiftcraft sprint too. You got to know where to be, when, and how, for sure.
Oh my gosh. So every time, again, I don't want to give it away, but I'll give it away, it really reminds me, a very short version of the hill climb in Yorkshire, where it goes up, flattens, goes up again. And what you see is all these riders go up and like push too hard on the first kick, and then it flattens. And I just sit in the draft, launch. And you picked it up on commentary because you're a legend, Nathan, and you know your stuff. But I was using the clicker on my handlebars as well. And so like I would be down in the drops, just sprinting and just dropping it at some point. I didn't even look. I was just like, I know that from here to here is about 15 seconds. So I can just drop it anywhere here. And the little clicker, I didn't have to sit up. I didn't have to do anything. Everything was down on the hoods. So it was, it was fun. It is a good course.
It is super fun. That course is a lot of fun. I actually raced it this week as well, and it's great for both sprint after sprint after sprint if you want to be doing that, and at the same time you can totally set up for different kinds of attacks to try and get away. And there's lots of opportunities for it. I really, if you want to play the tactical game with your team to try and make something happen, we were able to pull something off as far as that goes. It was a lot of fun. I did. Yeah, I raced.
Oh, Nathan, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was
So
good.
what did you do?
So we're dominating right now in the West, and so we did America's West Cup at OMG, raced with OMG, and essentially I waited. I was going to go with 2 laps to go. I was going to make a move, and one of my teammates did exactly what I was going to do, except for like instead. So it was at the end of the second, 2 laps to go. So it was like 3 sprints left. And you know how you come over to Clyde Kicker, and then you go downhill, and then there's a bump, and then there's a downhill, and then there's one more downhill, right? And at that long downhill into the flat heading toward the champion sprint, Grenier, one of my teammates, he's a lot heavier than all of us too. Like, this dude's a monster. Just used an arrow and just gone immediate, like 7 seconds, totally gone. And I was like, I have a feather. I was going to attack going into the uphill into the champion sprint, because everyone kind of sits up there waiting for the champion sprint and try and look for a gap. So then I had to like not chase my teammate. And so he built it up to 15, and I was like, he's not coming back. Because we had whittled it down enough at this point that everyone was just going for the sprints and or attacks to get off the front in a way that it was just a really small pack. You could just tell everyone was done. Like, everyone was like, we are not chasing that. So once it was out to 15 to 20 seconds, I knew that I could try and break away for second place if I wanted to, and I really was there for the workout. I was there to represent the team, but I was really, really also there that like I wanted this high end 30-second, everything you got efforts followed by VO2 max efforts. So after going into the last Clyde kicker, I saved my aero power up, not for the sprint for FAL. I hit it I hit it right before we hit the banner, hoping for the double arrow. That's what I was really hoping for, was a double arrow, and immediately gained 5 seconds on the descent, and then just continued on with it. I got a draft, of course, so I could the draft. Like, well, okay, hopefully I get enough space, and like they chased a little, and then I watched them give up, and I was like, okay, they gave up. I think I got this, and sure enough, I was able to hold on for seconds. So we went 1-2. Which was nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, really
so
good.
We had an interesting one in ours. I don't know what yours was like, but because we have Optimum in our group, which is a new team out of Quebec, love the girls, but they don't have Zwiftcraft. So they literally dial in like 4.2 watts a kg for the entire race.
And they just chase everything down. There's like no tactic. I watched it. I know what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh. So like our recovery was just sitting on their wheels as they're just drilling at like TT pace. And we're all like on Discord being like, get off the front, relax, just like stop pushing it. So our race was like, I thought it was going to take like an hour or like 50 minutes. I don't even know what it was. It was like sub 40 minutes or something.
Yeah, you did
like,
sub 45, I think even. It was a fast race for the women's field, for sure. Like really fast.
It was crazy. I was like, why are we riding 47k an hour and like with in between sprints? Like it was nuts. So I know we touched on the topic last week of Zwiftcraft, and I was actually going to get in touch with Optimum and be like, hey, are you guys going to race like next season? Because do you want to learn like about Zwiftcraft?
Can I tell you how I want you to race? Can I tell you how I want you to race?
Yeah. But I think actually, because you look at the end and I'm like, their watts are so high for the whole thing. And the problem is they come last. If they were winning, I wouldn't go and give them any advice. I'd be like, it's working for you. But they're working so hard and not winning. And I'm like, man, that is the epitome of Zwiftcraft. If they just kind of dial that back and then sprint when they need to. So yeah, I think I will get in touch with them. Maybe I'll get them on the show actually, and we'll
that'd be fun. That'd be really cool actually to have them on.
Yeah,
that would be great actually to get a introduction to who this I think they're out of Eastern Canada, Quebec area. It would be really great to have to brush up on some French maybe or something, because I struggle on that front. Anyway, all right. So what else have we been up to real quickly? We did do the Alp Challenge. That was a lot of fun. Actually, that experience afterwards, we were all like this awesome like biker gang going down the Alp together, taking pictures, and like we were cheering everybody on. So we did, if for those that are unfamiliar, didn't listen to last week's podcast, we did a racer pace the Alp du Zwift with Vision, and it was just a great experience. Like people that hung out came and just to pace their buddies. We had people going for PRs. Teppo Lorio from Wahoo Loco, everyone, is an awesome sacrificial servant of Nathan's best time over the top of the Alp, actually, because
did you do your best time?
Best time ever. Yep, best time ever.
Oh my gosh, tell us.
37, 39, I think it was.
Oh, and I heard your lovely wife.
I did 5.4, I think, or something, and I'm down to that day. I was down to 66. I'm getting down to. I'm getting into race mode, full race mode, guys. So like, yeah, I put in a ton of effort prior to that. That was my final like threshold kick. So things are going really well. The Alp went really well for me. But go ahead. You're gonna say about Gabby.
I heard M. Nyquist sent me a message after. I was gutted to miss it. Sorry, but I did have to go out on my gravel bike. But yeah, M. Nyquist sent me a message after that. Gabby had also set a very stellar time around the 46,
44, something like that. So she's probably in chat right now. I think she's probably like, hey, this is what I got.
So great job there, because we all know that Gabby has had a return to fitness from some pretty horrific injuries. So I was very inspired to see that. I think that's awesome. So good work to Gabby as well.
Yeah, and then outside of our own like personal records and all that kind of stuff, and everybody kind of going for that and encouraging each other on. I mean, the Discord was just people saying in the live stream, like over and over again, like, good job. Like all you heard was all this encouragement and people, grab my wheel. Here's what we do. And then afterwards, we literally just cheered everybody to the top. So then we once you were done, we all hung out at the top of the Alp, cheered everybody to the top, put them on the live stream. It was like, hey, good job to so-and-so. Here's the time you're going for. Gave them encouragements about how to do the last few turns. And then we all got a picture at the top together. And then we all just did the free case to the bottom group ride, just flying, it was so cool.
Oh,
it was so
love
much fun. Yeah, it was good. It was really, really good.
Aw.
So Alp Challenge, that inspired that I think we're going to do something at least on the month or something along those lines. I think the next challenge is to get our 100 kilometer per hour badge. I think we're going to go to Innsbruck and all climb the Innsbruck climb forward and then go the other side down to try and get everybody their badges. That's going to be the next thing.
Do you not have that badge?
I have the badge, but a lot of people don't.
Oh, yeah, okay.
A lot of people don't. So we're going to try and find the
place
easiest way for that to happen.
Isn't the easiest way the descent from Radio Tower?
I thought it was. We've tried with Gabby a few times and it didn't work out. And so no matter what bikes or anything. And so I think that the sharpest decline with a group is actually over on the reverse, the descent of the Innsbruck. I think that's probably the sharpest place in game. So we'll see. We're going to do some research and figure out and just make sure that we set it up so that everybody who joins, has the best chance possible of getting their 100 kilometer per hour badge. So I got mine on Radio Tower. I got it on Radio Tower with a tri-bike, sprinting as hard as I could to get to that.
Oh, on the tri-bike. So I was messaging Martin during the week because I'd actually had a different strategy for the ZRL race, which was I was going to ride the first 4 laps and go for just some FALs. And then I was going to stop and switch to a TT bike. And then use the aero. Every time I had an aero, go for full sprint FTS. Because our bunch was only 20 people and 18 by the time I got to that lap. And because it was so many sprints and I didn't think people would go, wouldn't be able to go hard out for 10 laps. I was like, I think I should just go easy and treat it go zone 2, easy, zone recovery, and then TT bike all out sprint with an aero power up. And I was messaging Eric Schlange. I was like, would this work? Could you beat a small bunch if you're using that heavy bike on what is, at the start of the championship sprint, it's a slight downhill, right? And he was like, I think that could work. So I messaged Martin and was like, is this allowed? And he was like, oh, TT bikes are disabled, I think. And I was like, well, I don't want to give it a shot if, I can't actually use it and then I've dropped off the group. But yeah, it was kind of a thought I had to maybe, looking into next season, kind of do a bit more of that sort of stuff, be a bit smarter with the FTS. However, when I watched the coverage and saw during the race Emily Elric, I was like, no, I wouldn't have been. I would need a super speed bike to beat her. She was unreal. But yeah, I don't know if people have thoughts on that. I know it's not on the show notes, Nathan, here, but yeah, is there a place to kind of make that a bit more of a possibility? Because I think that could be kind of fun.
To jump off, if you're going to go for the FTS thing and you're going to allow people to just, chill out and go for FTS as their main thing, then allow them to have the best bike for going for that is the idea that you're after. Yeah. Interesting. That would kind of eliminate the whole idea too of people being mad that they're jumping in with the group. It's no, they're just trying to jump in with because they wouldn't be able to draft then. They'd just be on a TT bike. Yeah. So that's an interesting.
They've got a totally different vibe going. Yeah, but anyway, didn't try it because I couldn't, but that's something to think about. I did have one quick question for you, Nathan, my quasi coach, whenever I mention things and you're like, what are you doing? So I went and did the day before playoffs or finals because I was not racing. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go do the long tour of Watopia, the 70-kilometer one around whatever route that is. The one, stage 2. It's a 70-kilometer one for the one at the moment.
The big foothills, right?
Yeah, great course. I actually really enjoy it. It's a really nice course. And anyway, I dropped back to the second bunch, but it was still going pretty hard and all the climbs were going pretty hard. And I looked afterwards and my average watts were kind of at the top end of zone 2 for me. But I know definitely during it, there were periods where I was pushing really hard and then easing off. Is that still a beneficial ride or is that just an in between. You're not going hard and you're not going easy. You're just kind of going too hard that you're hurting yourself, and not easy enough that you're getting any aerobic benefit.
Yeah, so there's two different things really from a coaching perspective, right? If I were going to be like, all right, well, here's what we're after, right? As long as you're, so from just a strictly, if we're just looking at metabolic rate, just looking at what kind of zone that your body is in and the changes in energy resources that it's going to be using, it's okay that you're doing that if it's like, hey, today's a zone 1-2 ride and I don't care about your muscular stresses all that much, okay? If it's a ride that I'm like, no, today is low to mid to high endurance and your muscular stresses absolutely matter, and that's the reason that we're doing this, alongside of watching for decoupling very closely, watching for whether or not your heart rate goes out at the consistent power source at the consistent heart rate, that's a whole nother story. And I would definitely push you toward having much more consistency of your power output through the entirety of that ride. Whereas like I also schedule things that have more to do with like, as long as the heart rate is around here, you're fine. It's not so much about the muscular stress. It's more about where the heart rate's at and getting the things done that we need to at the heart rate. If it's chilling out so much that you're in like sub zone 1, you know what I mean? The lower zone 1, then it's kind of like, okay, this isn't what we're looking for. That's full on recovery. But those days are needed too. That's the other thing. Is like, I schedule those days.
Recovery days.
No, I mean, I definitely mean those days that are like, just go out, have a good time on the bike, and make sure you're spinning legs and moving blood around. And we want to get around this TSS or this calorie burn, and you're good to go. You know, and those days are definitely needed. You will get, though, in a Tour Watopia, I think from what you might have experienced in my back of my head, I would assume you're in high gray to like middle to high green, or a little bit of a threshold even. I would assume you're getting enough out of that. I would think. Depending on what group you're with.
Because, you know, there was like that workout I did, it was just like 3 hours, and there was like blocks of like the zone 2, but then there were sprints. I was kind of like, well, that's like Tour of Watopia. It was like blocks of zone 2, and then we'd do like reverse KOM. And so I was like, cool, I'll go hard up there, then recover for the next like 20 minutes, and then you'd hit something else. But I did drop off group 1, because group 1, I was like, I'm racing now. Like I'm at like threshold and this isn't good. So I dropped back and went to group 2, which was like still pushing, but the recovery, I could actually get the heart rate back down, you know, below 150. So
I totally took a note out of your book and did the same thing on Monday. I did the same thing because I needed like one final little push of like 3 to 4 hours. And I was like, Tour Watopia, Anna said she did all 3 of them in a row for her base. I was like, this is a cool idea. And it didn't matter how hard I went. It was just like a final cap off on my base. Yeah. So I just was at the front of every one of the races. Like, it was races. God. But I was also that guy that was like, you know, there's no results page, guys. You know, we don't have any, like, literally, we don't have to race this. Like, I'm trying to get everybody to back off as we're doing, like, you know, sub 7 minute, sub 6 minute volcano KOMs and stuff. My God. It was, we did let like 10 go off the front in the A group eventually. I was like, I'm not doing, that's okay. Go ahead, guys. Enough of that. So.
Oh my God, I love it.
Well, all right. Next up, Scotland is live. For free ride, for club events, and for meetups. Everybody, if you do want to check out Scotland and you haven't been able to do so through the scheduled events, you now have the ability to free ride it, do club events, as well as meetups. Go ahead and schedule those and go check it out. I think it's really cool also that now the opportunity is there to create. I mean, there's one of the guests today, Gordon Sloan, they put together private stuff all the time, it sounds like, when it comes to events of their own. And I think there's going to be a lot of clubs out there that are just, you know, chomping at the bit to want to like go and use these courses for some things, especially with the TTT. Today is, I believe, is out on Rolling Highlands, and then next week I think it's also Rolling Highlands when it comes to the ZRL. So it's an opportunity for people to go practice Rolling Highlands if they want to.
I love that. I just have been setting up the Oz Cycling event series for our winter. First race, the Muckle Yin. I was like, I cannot wait to see people race that. I was like, okay, Makoyan, that's great. Put in like the crit circuit as well, kind of dotted through there. And I heard it in your commentary as well, Nathan. It's just so true. Like Zwift has designed that world. Like, I mean, yes, you can go free ride it and it's beautiful and there's cool stuff to look at and little Easter eggs. But as far as events go and like races, it is like second to none. Like even that crit circuit, like I was kind of like I'm not a huge crit fan. But as I got racing, like the fact that there was this, it's just great dynamics there. Like you get that secret power up underneath the bridge, thanks to shout out to Aaron Bleakley, who gave me a hot tip on that. And like you said, you can then get the double power up. Not if you get a draft like Nathan, but if you got something like an aero, you can double power up yourself. Yeah, like it's just fun. Like the racing is fun. I've got to say Skur in the summit, like I will probably, the first thing I do will be use that as intervals. I don't know if I'd like
hurry
and race that again. I don't like, it was not like super
that's your extremely aggressive racer, someone who just likes the race to be so hard, and just you gotta have a lot of confidence too, I think, to enjoy that. You know what I mean? Like the amount of that is such a difficult course, but it's a racer's course.
Like, yeah, I think like probably what you would find as well is I think when you are good at, Zwiftcraft, which I'd like to put myself at an area of being good at Zwiftcraft, is Skur in the Summit isn't particularly a great course for me because there's not a lot of Zwiftcraft. It's literally like you've just got to have really good 3-minute power and then a minute and a half power. And if you don't have that and you've got Kristen Kulczynski, then, well, I can't do much. I can't Zwiftcraft my way to her wheel. You know what I mean? Like I can't magic up a result there. But yeah, the other courses, I can't, like Makoyen, I've raced it once. Like I was in a group ride, but we were all racing. It's awesome. Like go out and do that one. Anyone who's listening and watching, that one is just a fun one to do.
Yeah, I jumped into a race a few weeks ago on that and was like, wow, this is one of the best courses because it just throws everything at you that this world, the New Scotland world, was trying to tick a lot of boxes that maybe things were missing from the maps for some sort of race territories, or landscapes that we needed. And then the Muckley it just throws them all at you in one race. So it's really great. So next up, you want to talk about the Zwift Women's Racing Series that's just been announced that's starting in April?
Yeah, I was pretty pumped for this. Like, I just saw it I always go on Zwift Insider before the show and I'm like, is there anything that's like popped up this week? And that one had popped up and I went and had a look and sent it off to my team because I was like, this is quite cool because it looks like they've done the times quite similar to what ZRL times are. So kind of fills that little racing gap. And although I've said like I really need to stop racing, I feel like I'm on a roller coaster of yes, no. But I think approaching it like a bit of an interval session during the week is quite a good way to look at it. And yeah, it's a fun, go check it out. All the women listening, it's a good one. It's just got fun courses. They've got a points structure so you can kind of gather points as long as you stay in the same time zone every week. Gather points to have series points at the end. Starts in April. So you got a little bit of time, take a break, and then get into some fun racing. It's just good to see the women's racing kind of gather this momentum, and it's it looks really good. I think from looking at, I don't think there's a team element, which actually for all the team managers out there, you'll probably feel like I do, where you're kind of getting to the end of your patience and ability to like pull together teams and chase people and do all of that stuff. So I think that's quite fun too, because you can basically be like, turn up and race if you want. Like, I don't have to be like, do we have 4 riders? Have we got our minimum number? It's just a bit more fun and freedom there. So
yeah, I want to highlight also just really quickly, it is over on ZwiftInsider.com, Zwift Women's Racing Series. I'm going to show real quickly on my browser. There are the route details that are all there, but something just to pick up at the bottom for first timers and people looking to get involved, for women looking to get involved in the Zwift Ladies Only Club. Zwift Insider promoted that there, and it's a great spot for ladies to get involved and find other women who are maybe a part of the racing scene or riding scene out on Zwift. I really like it that Eric included that because I think there's, I've had a few friends who are women who have been like, how do I get involved in this? And like tried to point them in the right directions and, pass them off to different organizations. That's a great place that you can find those individuals, I think.
Yeah, it's good. So you'll probably see me out there, maybe for all, maybe for some. We'll see how it goes. So it'll be good. Does that kind of, I don't want to like hijack the opening here with, too much talk about my new gravel bike, but I have seen people in the chat like Amy Mundersev and a few others who got sort of lit up.
Everything is about Anna's new bike day. The entire podcast is about Anna's new bike day.
Bike day. But how do I? So obviously I'm a competitive person. So I went for that first gravel ride, got a bike, then was like, what are some gravel events? Were there any QOMs on that ride I did? Yes, there are. Awesome. There's gravel nationals like in 10 months or something. Now, obviously you need a technical ability. So that would be like once a week I'd go out and actually ride gravel and get the technical ability to be able to ride it. But is there something specific on Zwift? Like I know they had that gravel grinder series or something. Like what is the power profile of a gravel rider? Like I kind of get mountain biking and I get cyclocross, but what's gravel? Like I've never done it. What even are gravel events? Like do I just need to know like long stuff or do I have to do hard stuff? And are the hard stuff seated because you're in gravel or can you get out of the saddle or do you slip around?
So what comes to mind immediately is like lots of force, the ability to produce a lot of force into the pedals. So alongside of high tolerance for muscular endurance, like super muscular endurance, because they are usually much longer events. We're talking, in 100 miles is the minimum. A lot of times, so set 80 to 100 miles from what I've seen is the minimum. When it comes to the ones that I've looked into that I know of, I mean, I haven't raced gravel. So my experience, though, and looking at what they're doing, a lot of times these B road areas, B to C road areas will be very rolling hill type like. So, you're going to have a lot of up and down for long periods of time where you need just the ability to climb, punchy maybe a little bit, over the entirety of 100 to 200 miles, 80 to 200 miles, I think, depending on what kind of, event that you're getting yourself into. So, they're big days on the bike, and force work is the number one thing that comes to my mind is the ability to produce force into the pedals and having those grinders. I mean, the ability to grind gears is going to be a big one, I think, especially later in a race.
That's what Aaron's come in. He said it feels a little like Zwift and that it's high torque and feels slow, and apparently tire pressure is really important. So I guess I won't pump it up to like my 120. Low. I'm still on old school high pressure tires here. I
need to send you a couple of videos. Are you seriously oh my goodness, that's a whole nother conversation you have about tire pressure. This is a Zwift, like we don't pump up our tires. My tires are flat half the time.
Exactly. But I will have one question because you'll know this from mountain biking, and I assume it's similar. And I was watching Primoz Roglic in the recent whatever he was doing. Was it Paris-Nice he was doing? No, Tirreno Adriatico. And so when you're going up, he was going up cobbles. When you're going up steep terrain, so I'm thinking like 10%, and it's not paved, so it's either gravel or dirt or something. If you get out of the saddle, is there a problem with that? Like, will you slip? Because
yes, you will if you put forward. So if you put your weight forward, yes, you will. You lean back. So you learn this in BMX actually. I learned this in BMX first, but then I transferred it over to the mountain bike as well. You either sit and put all the weight into the rear wheel, or when you do stand, you do it the same way that you would start a full, or you start or finish a full all-out max sprint. Is you pull on the handlebars, but you lean your weight back and make sure that your weight does not leave that back tire, and you actually almost could lift. I wouldn't say actually lift the front tire, but it's like doing a wheelie almost. And you release as much pressure as you can from that front tire while using that torque from the pull on the handlebars to press into the pedals to gain more power and spin that back wheel. And the back wheel's tread, when you're pushing with that force, should actually cause more grip if you do it right with the right amount of weight on the back tire. So that's really what, but if you're standing up forward, it's 100% gonna just spin out on you. So it's yeah. I hope that makes sense.
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it does. Yep. It's very different to sprinting in Zwift with my little clicky button and things. So I think I'll
Wait, we need to make Anna a clicky button for keeping the traction. Here's your traction clicky button. Yeah. Can we have a traction clicky button power up? Traction power up for gravel for when we go uphill and you actually get away a little bit.
Yeah. Exactly.
We need mud and gravel spots out on Zwift, and it's called the clicky button traction.
It won't be confusing at all.
At all. No. All right. Last thing, just a quick reminder, everybody. The Zwift Fondo series, it is up and running. For those that are unaware of the Zwift Fondo series, registration has been open all the way from the beginning of the winter. And the next one that will be running real quickly, and we actually just had some pretty cool stuff. There's also something that just popped up in game. There's a new France badge. I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but there's a France badge. It's a Fondo badge. It's like 145 kilometers in France.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's something to do with this or what's going on here, but it's interesting. It just showed up in the last update. I saw it last night. We're excited to maybe check it out and do it. So there's a little Easter egg out there. You can go do some hunting about it. Zwift Insider, I think, is doing an article about it pretty quickly here. But March 31st through April 2nd, you can also finish up your challenge when it comes to Zwift Fondo. There's also a training plan, obviously, out there within Zwift. You want to get involved with it. Zwift Fondo series, everybody, you still have opportunity to finish up your challenge to do I think it's the Bambino, what are the three ones of them? I forget. It's the Grand Fondo, the Medio Fondo, and the Bambino Fondo for the A, B, and the C groups. So at the end of the month, you want to check those out. You got some challenges up ahead of you. Well, there we go.
Stoked for that. And don't do if you can help it, don't do the Bambino because the kit is horrific. So just a tip to the people out there.
It's always about the fashion. It's always about the fashion. She just wants you to get your base training in. She's just wanting to get the base training in. All right, we've got our guest. Let's go ahead and move right on into that part of the show. Gordon Sloan, the director sportif of Rhino Racing. Gordon jumped onto our radar in the last, I think, year to 2 years. And I think the main thing that Anna was like, that's the coolest freaking kit that she's ever seen. Rhino Racing has some amazing graphic design, that's for sure. And they've got a website, actually. You can go check them out as well. All I did was to find them was just searched Rhino Racing and Zwift, and it was one of the first things that popped up. But Gordon, it's great to have you on the program. Welcome.
Yeah, great to be on the show. Thank you very much.
Oh, we lost your mic there for a sec. I think you might have hit the
double
check that thing.
Might be
That's
back
okay.
Now. Yeah, great. Mike's playing up. Great to be on the show. We've been around a couple of years now, so we're getting a bit more noticed.
Go ahead, Anna.
Cool, just checking you were there. So yeah, obviously I saw Rhino Racing because the kit was unbelievable, and have been having messages back and forth with Gordon, who very nicely put the kit in my garage, and I'll be doing a TTT with them in the next couple of weeks, which I'm quite excited about. But Gordon, I guess we always start this with our guests. What's your origin story for you, but also then if you can lead into how you started Rhino Racing?
Yeah, so I suppose for me it was Zwift. I mean, I don't have a racing or riding background at all, really. Obviously, I biked when I was younger, and then sort of gave it up for a bit, and then got back to it, and more for commuting, really, back to and from work. And then I can't actually remember how I found Zwift. It was roughly, I think, about January 2018, so it was kind of pre-pandemic and all that time. But I think I just decided I needed a bit more exercise in the winter months, and Zwift popped up from somewhere.
I think, did we lose him again? Oh, just Gordon.
Seems the mic's playing up, but sorry, yeah. So jumped on about January 2018 on Zwift. Can't remember how I found it, but obviously found it. Got a trainer, bought a bike, bought another bike because the first bike was in the shop for too long and I was missing Zwift. So I was back on the Zwift, and then obviously been on now 4 or 5 years and been carrying on. Started with the social stuff really. And a bit of racing as well on the side. But in terms of the Rhino racing, well, I suppose there was about a dozen of us. We all met through another club on Zwift, but wanted to sort of be a bit more competitive, do a bit more of the team events, things like that. Just new events, really. So we branched off on our own. Initially, the Thursday TTT. We were doing the Thursday TTT, I think probably pretty much the very first one on Zwift. And then that's where we branched off to do that together and just sort of slowly expanded from there. Basically, not really advertising for new members, just let people come in that want to race with us, that are active and want to be in the club rather than anything else, rather than trying to push for membership. Want people to get involved and interact with us. And that's about it, really. And obviously, we've grown now up to, I think there's around 500 members now, but probably about between 300 and 400 that I'd say are active in the recent times.
It's a pretty big club growth to go up to 400 to 500 members.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty big. I suppose we've been 2.5 years roughly. So I say probably the drivers for that's probably things like ZRL and TT. ZRL. Sorry, Mike's playing up, but we don't actively recruit really as such. We don't put out too many adverts for new members, but anyone's welcome. But ZRL, we normally do an internal poll, see who's can sign teams, and then depending on that, we might need to recruit for a few more. That's kind of where we've expanded from.
What's
So
go ahead, Anna.
what I was going to ask is that obviously the kit is amazing, and it probably helps with a bit of recruitment because it looks really good in game and people want to get their hands on it. But who designed that kit? And are you going to have any sort of other kit coming in game, which I'm obviously quite excited about if you are?
So I suppose a mixture. The first design is probably when early on when we created the club, we wanted an in real life kit. So we went to one of the sort of kit suppliers and came up with a few designs, and they sort of came back kind of with the, I don't know if anyone's seen it, but the Rhino sort of geometric pattern on it. So they came up with that idea. And then, I don't know, it must have been about a year down the line when we were thinking about can we get it in game. We were with a different supplier by that point. So we went to them with the original design and they came up with some ideas. And I think I sort of suggested that we want to make it a bit more visible for its in game. So if you notice that the sort of Rhino on the back and the Rhino down the sides, that was kind of our main requirement, really. If you're in Zwift, you want to know which jersey you're following because there's lots of nice jerseys in Zwift, but sometimes you've no idea who they are or what they are. So that was the idea. And obviously it took a while to get a jersey in Zwift, as these things do. But as in, well, another jersey in Zwift would probably a big ask at the moment. Obviously, delay for any club to get a jersey is quite a while. So there's not many that have got more than one jersey that I'm aware of, unless a couple of the really big clubs. But I suppose we can ask, see what happens.
Yeah, so it's a man named Russell, I believe. Is that right? Russell that designs those kits? I mean, he's done a really good job, it seems like, across the entirety of things.
I think we're lucky probably with Russell. I think he's a graphics designer by job, so he's certainly helped with that. I mean, he took the original design that we got from the first supplier, which is quite similar. It's got the Rhino geometric, and he sort of drew it up for the second supplier. So he does that. And then if you ever see any of our flyers on Facebook and things like that, they're all sort of for Russell. So very appreciative of his work. I think we got lucky there with that one.
And
it's pretty impressive because I was going to try and design a jersey for our team. And Fran Bamburst, who's out in the community, who does amazing designs, was like, oh, just use this software. And I got the software as like Vector Designs. I was like, oh my gosh. The jersey I made was just all these triangles. It was
design it, but turning into the format that you need to submit is the challenge.
Oh, it was impossible for this non-creative. So there we go. Good job to Russell.
So you guys run you host a number of rides, race series. You were chatting a little about private events that you get, and I went on over to the website and I was kind of scrolling through, and there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5, 6 different links to all different kinds of events or rides that you are extremely active with on Zwift, it seems like.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, in terms of just general our riders, we probably race far much too often now to be good. I mean, most people only race once a week, but there's a certain portion of members that probably race 4 or 5 times a week. So, yeah, we've got our own events. Probably the Sunday Rhino Crash is the most popular. That's a chase format style. So your DCATs go off first with CBA and intervals afterwards. So still get good numbers on that, probably 100 or 2 on that. So that's always pretty good. Other than that, we've got social rides on Wednesdays. We put on a few crits. I think Tuesday, Thursday, Friday they are at the moment. That was more just to fill up the calendar, really, because the Zwift crits finished and there was a bit of a hole in the calendar there. So we put them on, and obviously we get involved with the big events, ZRL and Thursday TTs. And the other one, private stuff, we've got our own Rhino Safari series. So I think we've done season 3 of that going at the moment. We've done a couple of midweeks, one at the weekend, and that's, I suppose it's back more to sort of ZRL style series. It's team based, 6 riders racing, probably normally 4 scoring, and we try to mix it up a bit. So we've got a couple of extra formats. Probably the team's point hunts. Team points hunt is the most interesting one, where only I think it's your 2nd and 4th riders count towards some of the points. So it really does sort of push that team effort in that. And we're also trying out the new pack dynamics on that at the moment as well. So that's quite interesting. Getting some good feedback.
What's your thoughts? Tell us about your thoughts on the pack dynamics.
I've not actually used it too much myself. It's been on our social ride for weeks, and it's absolutely fine for social rides, really, because you're not really surging up and down. But most of the feedback we've had is pretty good. I'm aware of sort of the main complaint from the community at the moment is maybe it's a bit too hard to work in the group just to stay in the draft. But obviously still tweaking on it, and it's not out to many events yet. So hopefully they can figure out the few issues with it, and that will get rolled out further, because it would certainly make the racing a bit more interesting.
It's interesting. I raced
Gordon,
just a little bit recently. Yeah, just on pack dynamics. I raced it a little bit recently, and I at first really didn't like it, and then slowly it grew on me over. But it was in a 100-kilometer race, and so it was. At first I was like, I don't know about this, but then I saw where you could find advantage with it, and so you do have to get really familiar with it, though, because it's a whole new way of racing in some ways that a lot of the community isn't used to. And I didn't see the comment, and I wanted to say something. Keeping chase racing alive is really cool, and also that time slot is an interesting one. I've got it at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on Sundays, which, that Sunday evening, afternoon to evening America Central Time, it's like you have the KISS race in the morning, and then you have like a couple of other races that are going on, that morning, or maybe a big Fondo or something. And then the calendar does kind of quiet way down. And there's a good reason for that, but you do kind of hit something for me personally where I'm like, I might be looking for something on a Sunday afternoon that I have to race, and a chase race seems like a really good way to go about it. I really like that slot that you've etched out there on that Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, that's when we looked to put the race on, we were kind of looking for where's a clear slot, where are you going to get riders, and that's one that popped up. I know Sunday evenings don't suit a lot of people, but then again, some people don't do anything on a Sunday evening, so why not jump on the race? And I think where probably the chase format works quite well, it's not so interval-y. It's more just a sort of ride, steady ride, sometimes FTP ride, but it's not sort of sprinty, you're riding in a group, so I think that definitely suits the time slot pretty well.
Gordon, I do just want to get a bit of a insight into the avid community members such as yourself, because I've seen Carsten come into chat saying Gordon's just amazing for the community. And obviously, like, this isn't your job, your day job. I mean, how much time do you spend during the week kind of organizing these things, keeping Rhino racing alive and well, and the events side?
I don't know. I suppose it's a difficult one, because how much to the minimum do I need to spend and how much extra time? So the main organisation is not probably that much. The TT probably actually takes the most, just putting the poll up for that. Because the way we do the TT, like other teams, is we'll just put out a poll, see who wants to ride it, and then I normally put teams together, kind of based on ability, and try and make them a best team possible. So that takes a bit of time, but the other events and things, other people help. Like, so the crash, normally someone else chooses the courses. We've got other people that run the social rides, so that sort of stuff. It's more just that and the odd post on Facebook, Discord, update the news, and most of it's just messaging, which I could probably just ignore. It's more just chat with members rather than anything, but if I'm too busy, I'll just ignore it and get back to them later. So
Gordon, what's your favorite course? Like, being a race organizer, being somebody who's, up front, you said you were serving the C and the D community, and you have a lot of like higher end B riders now, and you've grown this to, I think you said, up to 500 racers. I mean, maybe a little bit into the A+ category. I have seen a couple of rhinos around in the A+ category, really holding their own there. I'm wondering, from your perspective, what is your favorite course on Zwift and why?
For me personally, I probably prefer a bit of a punchy course. I think probably my old favourite is probably the Watopia Figure of 8.
Really?
Probably just because it's got a bit of everything. I like the mix in it. So you've got a couple of little climbs, obviously the front and forward column. You've got sprints, so it's got a good mix. That, or I was thinking about it earlier, maybe it's like the seaside sprints, quite good as well. But I think the main thing probably just variation. I don't want to do the same course every week, so there's been a couple of times in Thursday between events you find they're all choosing the same course one week, and you're going around Richmond 4 times in a week. It just gets a bit much. So yeah, main thing, variation probably for me, just to mix it up.
Gordon, I don't know if I'm going to get my accents all wrong, but you are Scottish, correct?
I am, yeah. Probably not the strongest accent, right. So from the East Coast, it's a little easier to understand than some.
I got it right away in pre-production. I got it right away. I was like, Gordon, you're from Scotland, right? And he was like, yep, I'm from Scotland.
Yeah. How excited were you with the Scottish map opening? I mean, if there was a New Zealand map, I mean, I would be on there 24/7. I would be so pumped about it. So have you been pretty excited to see, a bit of Scotland represented in game?
Yeah, pretty excited. Obviously, it's not realistic sort of one-to-one, although it's taken features from Scotland and out and around. But yeah, it's really good, and I actually like the course. I think it'll be really good for racing. Done a couple of social rides on it. It's a bit trickier, but yeah, both the crit course and you were saying there about the Muckley and other routes, I think they'll all be great for racing. So hopefully I can get on that a bit more, because I think I did the Race Scotland races last month, but other than that, I've not really raced on it too much. So managed to avoid the ZRL madness on Tuesday. So.
Well, yeah, I wanted to push it on that. I wanted to push it on that a little bit. Where is your racing team focus? You said you guys were really involved in the Zwift Racing League in some ways on Tuesdays, and you put on some of your own racing. Like, when it comes to Rhino and who you're watching out for in the scene and like who your competitors are, do you have any like rivalries, like Rhino versus whatever teams kind of out there, and when you're really going for it?
I suppose it really depends on competition and teams. I mean, we do our own events, but we also do things like the TFC Mad Mondays and other events on the Wednesdays and Fridays, pick them up along with the private events. So it really depends on who you're racing with and who's at the top of the categories. I mean, ZRL, I can think of our D riders are always up against Team Italy. So there's things like that. It's all very friendly, but yeah, I mean, individually you'll pick out your 1 or 2 riders that you think are the competition, but it doesn't depend on per event. I mean, private event, probably microphone, but yeah, a couple of private events we've done. We started off just a few weeks ago, a 5v5 type event. So literally teams of 5, just 10 people in the race, practicing that with Electric Spirit and Team Type 1, and I think SRT with other clubs. So we're going to see if we can expand that out, because that really adds some interesting dynamics to a race when you've literally only got one team v another, and it's all about what you do you attack, do you chase, that sort of stuff. So I think that's quite interesting, actually, getting to learning for teams, and I suppose that's where ZRL works, because you pick out who your opponents are and what their strengths are and how you beat them at the end of the day.
That's a really cool idea, this private event thing, Anna, like and putting on a smaller pool and testing some things out. I would love to hear about the outcomes of that, actually.
Yeah, well, hopefully things like that we'll try and advertise out, because like all private events, the hardest thing is just getting people involved. Find that with our own series, or even stuff like Monday's TFC, or we've just done Valhalla Endurance series on Monday, which is really good. Long rides, which is challenging before ZRL sometimes, but in some ways I prefer the slightly smaller events rather than the sort of 50 plus riders, because especially with Pack Dynamics 4, there's a bit more opportunity for racecraft to play out. You can do attacks and they can stick sometimes, whereas if you've got a pack of 40 chasing you, you're never getting away. So it does sort of limit what you can do in a race.
So Gordon, I guess leading on from that is we're in March already of 2023. I mean, what would you, as a race organizer and competitor, what would you want to see going into the rest of 2023? Like, what changes to race formats, or what kind of gets you excited to go, that would be a great direction or a great addition?
Yeah, so it's just that question earlier, and it's a tricky one. I think I've probably got a long list of stuff, but it's the stuff that Zwift are working already. Obviously, like the Pack Dynamics coming along, and hopefully their scoring ranking system, whatever, might get rid of the categorization system, because that's obviously a bit of a problem. On top of that, probably maybe just more sort of game modes. I mean, you probably saw it with the UCI Worlds and the
We lost you for a sec, Gordon.
Yeah, sorry, the Zwift Grand Prix coming along with these extra points modes or elimination modes. So, I mean, privately, we've tried a couple of elimination races, and there's other platforms have that feature built in. So that's quite interesting. But it's a lot of work to do privately and manually. So it'd be great to have that sort of thing in game, or a relay. I can remember a couple of times now, I think it's snow cycling, I've put on a relay race around Crit City. So that was quite fun. Literally, teams
really
of 4.
Cool.
One lap round Crit City, just relay round, but obviously at the moment it's all very manually, so you've got to time yourself in and out the pen. So probably more sort of things like that, and just the sort of general make it easier for organised to put on these events. Also, we've got Zwift Power and things, but it's somewhat lacking and challenging to do certain events, certainly point stuff with different primes and whatnot. But yeah, generally probably just more race modes, and hopefully if Zwift can fix the sort of pack dynamics and scoring and ranking to make the races a bit more competitive would be ideal.
Cool.
Yeah, those are all really good. I think really good feedbacks. I think there was a relay at one point that we did try one time, I believe, and I think it went all right. But like you said, a lot of these experimental things, you see them first in the community. People are kind of trying to hack them together a little bit, and then from there things are tried a little bit with Zwift, and then we see whether or not it takes. And so I think those are really cool ideas. It's gonna be interesting to see over this next year what kind of game modes and focus on the product does come out. So hopefully you do see a lot of that. Gordon, well, if anybody wants to find you and Rhino Racing, I don't know, you just grew to almost 300 to 500 members. I don't know if you want to bring anybody else in right now.
No, Google.
Are you recruiting? You want more work?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, we're not welcome any new members. So, yeah. I'd say Discord is probably the best, which now through the Companion Club, there's a quick link to Discord. So that's the best place to find us, really.
rhinoracing.club. You can check them out over on the web as well. Well, Gordon, thanks a lot for jumping onto the program with us. We really appreciate that. Maybe you'll see us in a chase race here soon or something along those lines. I'm definitely going to have to jump in. I'm definitely going to be watching out for the jersey a lot more, as well as your events out there. So we appreciate you jumping on, Gordon.
Okay. Thanks very much. Cheers.
Cheers, Gordon. Yeah. Awesome. And always see Gordon amongst the community, and in the chats for sure. Always super positive and somebody who's got something to add to the conversation, I feel like.
Yeah, he seems like such a lovely guy, and I felt very bad when I was supposed to race on their TTT team, because he hooked me up with their jersey, which I was very stoked about, and I wear it all the time. And I was supposed to race on their TTT team, and then had to go to my son's assembly last minute, and so couldn't do it. So I'll be out there probably next week or the week after. But yeah, do you know what I'm so excited for about that TTT? Is he said, "Do these paces look fine?" I was like, as long as I've got enough breath to hit camera and take a whole lot of photos of all those Rhino jerseys like in a line, I'll be happy because yeah, I mean, I love my kits and Team Velo's new kit got pretty close, but that Rhino one, like if I, just go into my garage and free riding, I want to wear a kit, that is always my go-to now.
Yeah, it is. It's really well done. And of course, fashion, since we're on the topic, let's go there. That's the next thing. What is this week's fashion? It is not a Rhino kit because I think we already did that one and you gave it like 9 something. I don't even know what it was. It was a crazy rating, but let us know in chat what you think. This is the fashion for the week. It is going to be the ATP Racing and the Tricycle. A rating is 1 out of 10, and Anna is going to go first. It's ATP Racing and the Tricycle for the garage pick.
Yeah, so the ATP racing one, the reason I put it on there is I race with an ATP team all the time, actually, in ZRL. So I see this kit all the time. Now, I do like the kit. Obviously, it's kind of atom science themed, so it's quite cool there. ATP, I think, is some sort of system you use. Nathan will be able to answer that. But system you use when you're racing, like in your body. But the thing I had about it, actually, that stood out this week is why I wanted to have it on, is that little person in the back pocket. What is that? It looks like a little Lego person.
I've never noticed that.
No, in the racing, maybe because the angle of the racing is I only see up to like the top of the pocket, not beyond. And I know that the dirt jersey has like a little baby's bottle because dad's inside riding trainers. They've got a little baby bottle, but I'm like, what is that? So if anyone from ATP can tell me, because I've never noticed. And so I wanted to have it as the jersey of the week. Because I was like, there's
a honey bear. It's the Withers honey bear. It's the Withers. We got honey from this guy. It's Jim Withers honey bear. Me, Dave and myself got the Jim Withers honey, actually. It's Michigan honey. And here it is. There he is right there. It's the Jim Withers. It's the Withers Mountain honey bear. That's what it is.
Are they like a sponsor or something?
He is a part of ATP team, and I mean, there's I don't know if they're a sponsor or how that works as far as that goes, but I know for sure he's a part of the team, and he's been watching the broadcast forever, and all of a sudden he was like, hey, throw me your address, and next thing I know, I had honey bears. Like, I ate that honey for like 3 months.
Oh.
Like, it's like,
well, there we go.
I didn't know it was on the back of the jersey, though. That's so funny.
Yeah. Is it still on the back? Because maybe next time you're doing a broadcast, Nathan, check it out and see if that's still there. Because, yeah, I didn't see it with the girls I'm racing with. So I was very excited to see it
maybe
there.
It changed for some reason. Huh.
Yeah, but there we go. Garage pick, tricycle. I can already see Carsten's come in and said -10.
-10 or actual 10? Is that a 10 or a -10 for the trike?
I'm pretty sure it's a -10. But I'm not going to lie. I think it's awesome because when I was doing the tour of Watopia and we're coming down the volcano and we all shifted to these trikes, the thing I love about it, and it just cracked me up the whole way down, was how your body wobbles. I don't know why it's doing that, but your whole body is wobbling side to side. And like, you never see your avatar making that movement. They're always like rock solid in the bike. And so to see it, it was like the avatar was dancing on the bike. I was like, this just looks so cool. So I'm giving the trike a high 9 out of 10 for just the dancing movement on the downhill. It looked cool.
Yeah, okay, so my rating is in comparison right now of everything else that changes in the Tour of Autopia currently. This is my favorite. I don't really like the dinosaurs or the Kuiji. I don't even know what you call those, the other thing, but I like the tricycle the most right now out of everything that we've experienced so far. I also rode a little we call them big wheels. We don't call them tricycles. We call them a big wheel here in the United States. And I've ridden so many of those plastic big wheels into the ground as a little kid. I mean, probably, I don't even know how many. So it's like, it's nostalgic for me because that was one of my first experiences on a wheeled thing that I pedal. I think I was on a BMX bike when I was like 2.5 or 3 though. But I still did one of these into the ground with my kids, not my brothers and sisters, my kids. So yeah, that, definitely like the tricycle. I like the tricycle. I can't believe Carson gave it I feel like he's giving
Don't take
me.
it
He's
personally.
giving me a negative 10. That was personal, Karsten. That was personal.
Oh my gosh. Don't take it personal, Nathan. The negative 10 on the trike. But I like it. A few people are saying that, and I just think this is hilarious. Like, I do love this tour of Watopia, how there's like a gazillion power-ups. Like, I think I got like 5 feathers going up Volcano. I was like, this is amazing.
I was really thankful for those. I was really thankful for those.
Yeah. And then like you just have these quick shift ups into like a trike. It actually has made it quite fun because when you're riding for that long, you're like, oh yeah, group ride, but it's been good. But I think Dan Pedrosa saying that his friend got stuck in the dino suit for like the whole ride, and then it's like a dinosaur riding on the trike, and the dinosaur's head would have been bobbing. Oh my gosh, that just
I for some reason got a little scammed actually though in the recent tour of Watopia. I don't know why, but I popped in. And everyone went to dino suits and I didn't. And I was like, and someone actually said, and I thought it was only on my end, like only on my user end. But then someone was like, Nathan, no suit. I was like, oh, everybody else sees me in no suit. That's weird. And then like, I didn't get my tricycle. I was so sad.
Oh, so bummed. Oh my gosh.
Man. Okay. Well, all right. So what is going on for this next week as we go end the show? What are you doing over the weekend into the next week, Anna?
Gravel.
Just riding your gravel bike like crazy?
Yeah. So my son, like, proud mom, this has just been phenomenal. He's been really not keen to ride a pedal bike. Like he kind of learned it really quick and then he gets a bit worried that he doesn't know it straight away. And anyway, suddenly the school has built a pump track and he can take his bike to school. Yeah. So it's freaking amazing. Like, and a decent, they brought in a whole crew of specific pump track builders, and they've built this pump track which kind of goes around, and it's got 2 bridges, it's got a jump, it goes through a forest, like freaking amazing. What? And so that's my crazy. Son can take a bike to school now and ride on it at lunchtimes. And I kid you not, for the last week since it's been open, like I am at the pump track like 3 times a day. So it's insane. And so my son is so excited that I've got a new bike because he's like, Mom, bring it to the pump track. And so I'm going to be going to the pump track on my gravel bike to probably like 20
gravel
times
bike and pump track. I'm trying to like think about a gravel bike on a pump track.
Yeah, so I might have a broken arm.
No broken arms. We need to, you have to go. I'm say sorry to your husband, but it's a BMX time now too. Now you need a BMX bike. Yeah. Okay. Now you need to be able to pull on those handlebars a little bit more. I'm on a rest week. What are you doing? Well, okay, what are you doing, Zwift? No, you're good. Good, keep going. I want to hear about anything else happening.
There's actually, so I'm not racing the TT10. I'm not DSing actually because it's quite cool. I got asked to present at a New Zealand sport conference, youth development, on the esport hubs that I delivered as part of a project last year. So I delivered hubs out to like 3 regional centers around New Zealand last year. And now we're presenting on it. And it's really rad because our presentation, I'm literally getting a whole setup where we've got a smart bike, the big screen, and we're going to have like people who are watching come on and give it a go and have a look at what we're up to. So I'm quite excited about that. Yeah. So that's all day on ZRL day. So I won't be there next week for that. But yeah, be a bit of fun on the other side of the work I do.
Super awesome. That sounds like a ton of fun. And getting the word out there for virtual cycling. So what am I doing? I am on a rest week, actually. I'm pedaling my bike maximum of 1.5 to 2 hours a day, maximum. Super chill, though, for all of that until insanity workouts to get ready for a little bit of racing in real life. So that means a lot of zone 5, 6, 7 type stuff. But short, not in like the middle of a crazy ride or anything. You know what I mean? It's just really focused, sharpen things up to get ready to head on over to Moab on Tuesday. Obviously, Zwift Racing League will be doing the final broadcast for that. And that is the plan. Still need to organize what the intervals are going to be over the weekend, but that's what's up with that.
I didn't even know there was a Zone 7. Is that just Nathan's zone? Is that just crazy zone?
I have a new emote on my Twitch channel called Rage. That's what it is.
Okay.
It's just the rage face. Essentially, that's the new emote. So I'm not sure if Twitch has given me the go ahead on that one yet. I think it's still pending, but it's a good one. But it's yeah. I mean, that's the coaching podcast. We'll have to make another podcast for the coaching.
Oh God, yeah. Nathan, though, question. You've talked about Moab a couple of times. What is it? Is this a mountain bike
so Trans
race?
Rockies puts on a lot of races actually in the area of the Rockies. And so Moab Rocks is a 3-day stage race. It is the first in the single track series that Evelyn Dong and Jeff Kabush kind of like help as a launch pad for kind of giving some, fresh breath to the world of mountain bike racing within the U.S. And so Velo News did an article on it last October, I think it was. It got on my radar. I was like, oh, sweet. Prize pools, pro racing. Actually, it's interesting. And then all of a sudden I noticed like not just the single track series, but also there's some more UCI events popping up on the mountain bike side of things here. Some of the other old school events that maybe took a back seat or took a break are starting to come back on the mountain bike side of things. I'm kind of like, are we seeing a resurgence of mountain biking in the U.S. all of a sudden? So that'd be pretty cool if that was happening, because as much as I love gravel and I think gravel is really, really cool, I kind of don't want to ride my bike for that long and race that much. Race gravel. I'm just not that into it. I like, boom, like, let's go, hour and a half. What do you got? And I can handle my bike like a maniac. Like, bring it. And so I'm excited for that. So I'm excited to open up the series, the season for pro racing over the summer now. But that's opening up real soon. Man, I want it to warm up though. It is cold here still. It's 7 degrees C here, which is like, I don't know, like 40 something Fahrenheit. And I'm looking, and it's going to be colder at the start time than it is in Wisconsin, down in Moab in the desert. I'm like, at least the 10-day says that. I'm like, what is going on? Like, please get a little bit warmer before then. Like, we could have snow at the start line. I don't want that. Like,
so Christina Grossman, actually, because I was racing with her, and I was like, man, like, she's been doing some IRL stuff in New York, and I was like, I'm sorry, but it looks grim. Like, it looks so cold. And she said that she's invested in electronic glove heater things. So I don't know what it is.
Thing.
But gloves
it is a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing. I've looked into it when I was thinking about racing Iceman the last couple of years, which is the final mountain bike race of the season, essentially here in the Americas. It's one of the largest mountain bike races, single day mountain bike races in North America. I'm pretty sure it's one of the largest prize pools by far. But it's always the first Saturday in November. And it is always like, is it going to snow? Would a fat bike be the faster bike? Or is it just going to be 50 degrees? Like, it's right on that edge of fall where it could be warm, you know what I mean? And sunny, or it could be you're in the snow. Like, so, and I looked into these, and they've, because of the fat bike world, I think they've slowly gotten enough demand that they could make them lighter and more racy, because early on, they were just these fat, huge, like, go ride the Iditarod across Alaska type things that weren't very racy and it wouldn't make any sense. So if they are actually thin enough and light enough, I would actually think about having them, because I don't want to freeze.
No. So the listeners as well, like, maybe I've seen Amy Mundasev has already sent me about 20 messages about gravel riding. The next thing I need to, because I want to ride over winter, but at the moment my kit is bib shorts and like my little top that I wear on Zwift with a headband. So I think I need some winter stuff. So if anyone's got any tips for what I would need, I mean, it doesn't get too cold here. It mostly gets rainy. So if people know some good wet weather stuff, because I don't mind the rain as long as I'm not like getting totally saturated. But it's a topic for another day in real life fashion. I mean, I don't know if we want to hit that one up.
Yes, we will. We will very soon.
Okay.
That's just a hint towards things that are coming. Okay. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. This has been episode number 35. We'll be back at you next week. I'll be on the road. We'll figure it out. Episode number 36 for next week. And you can catch this. We have been live on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, as well as Twitter. The Zwift Community Live website is live as well. Head on over to ZwiftCommunityLive.com to make sure to get all of our broadcasts. All the podcasts are listed over there as well. And you can go ahead and search up the Wrap or Zwift if you want to download it from another spot. So make sure to go check all of that out, as well as comment, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. It helps us out a ton to keep this going. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next week for episode 35, as well as we'll be live for ZRL on Tuesday. As always, everybody, from Anna and I, ride on.